The importance of body language is getting increasingly popular, as most studies reveal that words only make up a small fraction of our communication. That's why we decided to study the nonverbal signs of some of the most influential people on this planet. This graph shows that only 7% of the overall message is about what we say. The tone of voice, so how do we say it, counts for 38%, and our body language accounts for 55% of the overall message. We'll divide this video into 4 parts. First, we'll discuss some of the most important gestures made by the arms and hands. Next, we'll analyze expressions of the face and hidden messages behind them. Then we'll reveal the 38% that makes up our communication, the tone of our voice. We can distinguish 3 types of palm command gestures. The palm up is the kindest way to ask or show something. For example, when you want a person to do something for you, the palm up gesture does not project authority and the person being asked won't feel pressured. It is used as a display of truth and trust. The palm down gesture is used when you want to express immediate authority. In the same example, the other person will experience this more as an order. When he or she is your subordinate, this kind of gesture is seen as acceptable. One of the most famous examples of this gesture is the Nazi salute by Adolf Hitler. By turning his palm downwards, he projects power and authority. When this person is of equal status, however, it is possible that you will receive criticism. And finally, the palm closed finger pointed gesture is the most aggressive of the 3. A lot of listeners will feel offended, and in some countries finger pointing is even seen as an insult. If you want to express authority and confidence, squeezing your finger against your thumb and make the OK sign is a better alternative. It is a way of expressing control and showing that everything has been worked out. This is often used by Donald Trump. In a recent study, 8 lecturers were asked to use each of these 3 gestures during a 10-minute talk. It seemed that 84% of the participants gave positive evaluation to the lectures that used the palm up gesture. This number dropped to 52% when using the palm down and only 28% for the finger pointing gesture. An expert in communication has to remember following points when giving a presentation. Remember the impact of palm power. Palm up for a non-threatening message. Palm down and palm closed finger pointed to show authority. Use the OK sign for expressing authority and control, but in a non-aggressive way. Moving on, few people realize the importance of a handshake, yet it is an important action to show either dominance, submission, or equality. The first kind of handshake is the dominant one. This occurs by turning your hand so that your palm faces down in the handshake. This is very similar to the palm power that has already been explained. Here you can see Trump completely controls the handshake. The submissive handshake is the opposite of the dominant type. Your palm is now facing upwards, which can be seen as kind, but also as vulnerable or weak. The submissive handshake can be effective, for example, if you want to give the other person the feeling he or she is in charge. The last kind of handshake is realized when both palms remain in the vertical position without someone taking the dominant position. This creates a feeling of respect and equality and will often be the best technique. Here you can see a beautiful handshake between Putin and 2 other world leaders, which show respect of both sides. An expert in communication has to remember following points when giving a presentation. When you enter the room, first consider if it is best choice to initiate a handshake or not. And second, what emotion do I want to transmit with my handshake? Either dominance, submission, or equality. Talking about the hand gestures, there is an important indicator for insecurity and feeling threatened. By folding one or both arms across the chest, a barrier is formed to protect the threat. But there is also a downside of crossed arms. When you, as a speaker, can see that your audience is crossing their arms, they will forget around 38% more of what you said. If you notice this, you need a good icebreaker or giving something to the audience, like a pen or a brochure. Not only the listener, but also the speaker himself should pay attention to folding his or her arms. It makes you less approachable and projects a negative attitude. While the body projects some clues about our feelings, the face reveals the whole book. Our face has 43 muscles and is capable of expressing 21 different emotions. First we're gonna discuss the power of a smile. A smile can be very contagious and eye-captivating. It's a sign of submission, showing us not to feel threatened. Some politicians use their smiles very effectively. Just look at ex-President Obama or Bill Clinton. Their smiles are very well received and help them establish a charismatic reputation. On the other hand, some politicians want to show more dominance. A well-known figure to do this is President Donald Trump. The chin jut is a way of displaying authority and power. It is used by alpha males to show a more defined jawline, which is linked to a higher testosterone level. When you're telling a story, it's very important to keep eye contact with your audience. One technique is just to pick one person from each corner of the group and one in the middle, and then shift between them. All people around will think like you're directly looking at them. Some facial gestures have hidden meanings behind them. Here are some of the most common signs of liars. When right-handed people are lying, they look up at the right. Left-handed people look up at the left. Other signs of lying are if they don't blink, close their eyes very slowly, blink a lot, or break eye contact. They hide their mouth, eyes, and throat with their hands. An expert in communication has to remember following points when giving a presentation. Your facial expressions are crucial to the impact of your message. Eye contact has a power to keep your audience hooked, and know the common gestures of liars and be sure to avoid them. Talking about the tone of voice, we discovered some interesting facts. The first one is the fact that as humans, we tend to link different kinds of tones to different kinds of people. A deep voice reminds of an athletic, powerful male. On the other hand, a higher pitch reminds us of a kind person. Secondly, we discovered that a lot of politicians will speak in this we form. This increases the feeling of community. Thirdly, great speeches like Obama use anaphors. It's a repetition of the sentence in a different way to better transfer your message. This is important because sometimes speeches will scream so hard you don't pay attention to their message anymore. Other common things great speeches use to gather attention are metaphors, pauses, and switching intonations. Talking about the switching of intonations and volumes, enjoy this masterpiece of a speech by Hitler.
Ist nun erwacht. Die Macht haben wir nun in Deutschland gewonnen. Nun gilt es, das deutsche Volk zu gewinnen. Ich weiß es, meine Kameraden, es ist euch wohl oft schwer gefallen, wenn ihr meint, es müsse nun ein Wandel kommen und er kann nicht und immer wieder muss er euch Appell gerichtet werden.
We dedicate this whole video about how you come over when using different body parts. Of course, do you want to know how should I come over? We took a look at how people came into leading positions. It seems that competent looking politicians get more votes, so you have to look very competent using your whole body. Studies have found that male business leaders are more likely to be selected if they were competent, trustworthy, attractive, and dominant. Female leaders, on the other hand, are rated higher on compassion, warmth, and supportiveness. In the military domain, it seems like most military leaders have a cold and less attractive look, which is rather surprising. On the other hand, if someone looks attractive and radiates warmth, people will likely see him or her as a sports leader. Thank you for watching. We hope we could help you with our tips from this video.